Welcome to The Path is Always Evolving, a podcast for healing humans and curious souls, hosted by energy healer. Welcome to The Path is Always Evolving, a podcast for healing humans and curious souls, hosted by energy healer Tenya and mind-body specialist Eva Zobian-Wolf. This show blends science and spirit to explore real-life healing, self-care, and personal transformation. No fluff, no fixing, just grounded conversations that meet you where you are. Because healing isn't linear, but the path, it's always evolving.
Welcome back to The Path is Always Evolving. I am Tenya, and with me is Eva, and we are here to share with you everything we know about the root chakra, what it is, why it's imbalanced, what to look out for, how you can balance it, and how you can keep it balanced as you move through your life. How exciting. Yes. The root chakra. It is always the one that I think is most unbalanced when we first start to look at the chakra system, because it is the most human chakra of the entire system.
Well, and there's a reason for that. I mean, the root chakra it's rooted in our ability to feel stable and grounded and to trust. It's all about safety and survival. And so it shows up in every single person because there's always something that in our life that is kind of pulling or removing our sense of safety. Mm-hmm. And so in yoga practices, yoga classes, what I tell my mentors, what I tell my students and my clients is that if you're not sure what to do, focus on root chakra. Yeah. Because you're never going to go wrong. Right. Everybody wants to feel safe. I mean, going back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, safety, security, shelter, food, all of those things have to be in place for a person to feel safe before they can even see or acknowledge any other area of themselves. And one thing for us to remember about the chakras is that they're all interconnected in some way, right? So the we talked about in our last episode that the energy will travel from the root to the crown and from the crown to the root. But one thing that we didn't discuss was how what's happening in the first chakra is going to affect all of the chakras above it. And if there's an imbalance in the second or the third chakra, how it's going to impact the chakras above it and also the chakras below it. Mm-hmm. So it's not a one-way path, and it's quite honestly, it's not linear, because right. If there's an imbalance in, say, the throat chakra and the sacral chakra, then where you're really going to see it is in the heart chakra, because that's the space in which really all of the chakras speak through. And the heart chakra and the throat chakra, they represent the first three chakras represent the physical body. And then once we get into the heart chakra, then we're connecting the upper chakras with the lower chakras. But the throat is, quite honestly, the voice of all of it. Yeah. And so where our imbalances show up, there's a relationship between some of the different chakras, right? So there's a relationship between the sacral chakra and the third eye chakra. There's a relationship between the solar plexus and the voice. If we don't feel we have power, we don't use our voice, right. And vice versa. So in the root chakra, it's all about security. And here I want to take a moment and just talk about different times in our lives where we've ever felt not grounded, not safe, right?
Mm.
And that happens for everybody, right? You've
Yeah.
had different situations in your life where all of a sudden, maybe it's the loss of a job, or maybe it's the loss of a relationship, or even the loss of a significant person in your life. And those
Mm-hmm.
moments all challenge our ability to feel safe.
Right.
And when we have those different events or experiences, what's the way that people behave? And if as we're going through the root chakra, one of the things that to be mindful of is first holding kindness, compassion, and non-judgment for yourself and also for others. When we understand and when we start to have a more clear picture and understanding of the root chakra, it gives us the ability to be able to say for ourselves and for others, I see what's happening here. Now,
Mm-hmm.
that's not condoning the way that anybody
Right.
behaves, right? Like if you're
Right.
being a jerk, you're still being a jerk.
Right.
And so, but
It
it
gives a
allows,
better understanding of where they may be working from.
right. And we can, again, we can set a boundary and say, it seems like you're going through some stuff, or maybe we don't even say anything and just say, you know what, let's put a pin on this. Let's
Right.
come back on another day to try this conversation or to have this interaction.
Right.
Or I'm just going to wait until I see that your energy is a little bit less
Chaotic.
chaotic, and then we'll come back to it. I'm checking my internet to see if I'm fluctuating at all.
Hold on one second. My air conditioning was getting a little too cold on me.
Ooh, okay.
Okay.
All right, so we can edit that
Yep.
stuff
Oh
out.
yeah.
Um, so let's come to the root chakra and look at first, what is the root chakra and how are we going to see it in our life? And one of the things for us to be mindful of, so the root chakra is also known by the Sanskrit name Muladhara, and it's located at the
And I'll put that
base.
down. I'll put that down in the, but I wanted to repeat that. Muladhara.
Muladhara, yes, that's the
Muladhara.
Sanskrit name for the root chakra. It's located at the base of the spine, and there's a nerve plexus there, the coccygeal plexus for my science nerds that want to know the specific area of the anatomy. And the central issue here is survival. So again, this comes back to self-preservation. You're wanting to feel stable. You're wanting to feel grounded. You're wanting to be healthy and prosperous,
Mm-hmm.
abundant and healthy, and be able to trust. So this is our right to be here, to have, this is the I am feeling. And this is developed from the womb within the womb until 12 months. And this is completely things that we don't have control over in our life.
Right.
So again, holding kindness, compassion, and non-judgment, while it's developed in that time period of our life, it's also playing out throughout our life. So while it may have developed a particular way, if we're not feeling safe later in life, it's going to show up regardless.
Right.
It's going to
Right.
show up for everybody because this is that basic survival tendency, that survival need.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to do with our physical identity. So you may see this showing up in different ways. Like if it's excessive, we're too grounded. So it might be heaviness, sluggishness, monotony, hoarding, materialism, greed. The way it shows up when it's out of balance by not having enough energy there is being fearful, undisciplined, restless, restless, or spacey. And the way that I see this in my life, the way that I see how it presents is when I walk into my living space or my workspace, and when I get going on a project, I will grab all of the books out of the bookshelf, and I'll have my laptop going with a bunch of different articles, and you will just see notebooks and books, and it looks like somebody vomited all over the space.
Yeah.
And I'll walk into the space, and I'll think, why do I feel so chaotic? Why do I
Yeah.
feel so unable to focus? And then I'll look around my space and realize, okay, I've got to declutter my physical
Yep.
space because it's cluttering my mental
Yep.
space. It's
Yep.
the physical manifestation of why I feel all chaotic and twirly.
Mm-hmm. I did that exact thing this morning. At the time of this recording, I cleared out everything that was basically on my floor except for my furniture. Like I even took out, I have a fake Christmas tree in my office. I even took that out. I was like, I just need to get everything out of here, and I put it all in the guest room. And my plan is that if I need something that I can't find, I'll go look for it in the guest room. And if it's in the guest room and I need it, I'll bring it back into my office.
Oh, and it's little practices like
Yeah.
that are such a big deal, that are so calming and soothing and grounding.
Yeah.
So in yoga classes, you'll hear a lot of people say, in certain poses, right, like in a forward fold, going from a forward fold to a standing position when the arms are reaching up, they'll say, press your feet into the ground and root to rise as your arms reach up. And that is a classic first chakra movement, flow, positioning language, because they're asking you to get grounded
Mhm.
where you are and to feel yourself rooting in. And there's actual practices around this, right? Imagining rooting yourself, grounding practices, earthing. Have
Mm.
you seen the number of um, things that you can buy that are grounding? You can buy grounding mats,
Yep.
grounding sheets,
Yep.
um, blankets, uh, shoes. You can buy shoes that have magnets in them.
Yep.
And all of these are ways for us to connect to the energy that is happening within the earth, right? So if you've ever heard of the Schumann resonance, um, it's the energy of the earth.
The earth heartbeat.
Yep, exactly. And so practices like that help us balance the energy of our root chakra.
Mhm.
Um, Decluttering is a practice. Gratitude practices. If you're grateful for what you have rather than focusing on what you don't have, it calms and soothes the root chakra.
Mhm.
Because that's it. That's the issues of it are, do we have roots? Do we feel grounded? Do we feel nourished? Do we trust? Do we feel healthy? Um, do we have appropriate boundaries? And when we start to ask questions like, oh, why does this person do this? Why does this person do this? Why does this person do this? As a yoga therapist, I'm constantly reminding students and clients, we don't have to know the story to fix the issue.
Right.
So I don't have to know why somebody is doing something. I see the issues, I see how it's presenting itself, and then I immediately have practices that we can go through that pacify the way it's manifesting. So I
Mhm.
don't have to know where this is a big way in which yoga therapy is very different from talk therapy. So I don't have to know the story to be
Right.
able to help you navigate it in your body, to be able
Right.
to release the imbalance.
Right. And
Um,
and and for those of you who might think that talk therapy is the first and foremost place to go, there are a lot of us that these things happen to us before we were cognitive of them. And that's when you can't, that's a lot of times where complex PTSD starts from, is you don't know what is causing what you're feeling. You don't know why you're feeling the way that you're feeling because you don't have any memories of that chaos that ensued before you started to really pay attention and bring that stuff into your awareness.
Absolutely. And the thing is that when you start with the body and you start with, well, how is it showing up in your life? It does start to relieve and open up some things that at some point you may want to speak with a mental health professional, because as these things
Right.
start to unpack,
Yeah.
then think your memory does start
Absolutely.
to come back, and then all of a sudden you're thinking, holy cow, what was this? How do I navigate this? How do I unpack
Right.
this? And that's the sorry about that, folks. That's the perfect space for a
Right.
mental health professional.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
absolutely.
That's the beautiful thing about what we're trying to do with this podcast is highlight that there are so many different processes and modalities that work so well together, and there isn't, unless it is harming you or it's harming somebody else, give it a shot. Like if you've never done talk therapy before, give it a shot. If you've never done energy work before, give it a shot, because you might find that they work so well together. I have many clients who do both and they work so
Yes.
well together.
Yes. And that's a big thing that mental health is coming to a realization. Actually, there's a lot of places in the world where different modalities are coming to the realization that when they work with other modalities, it improves the efficacy of both.
Mm-hmm.
And it improves the outcome for the client, for the patient.
Right.
So, like the medical world is recognizing that we have to also include some of the outside aspects. We have
Yeah.
to include what's going on in the psychology and the mindset. And talk therapy is recognizing we also got to uh, include what's going on with the body in order for the whole person to have that balance, and including energy work. It's an amazing adjunct therapy regardless of what is happening in your life.
Right.
So yeah,
Because it
absolutely.
Right, because I think the biggest part about why energy work works so well with so many different things is you're not ingesting anything. You're not changing it. It doesn't hurt to try it. Like I've never, like there may be things that come up that need to be addressed, and some people may say that, oh, I when I did energy work things got worse. Well, they might have gotten worse because there were things that you needed to know, you needed to address. And when you push those things back down, that's when you start to get more of those physical symptoms of, you just kind of like, I'm done dealing with it, is what a lot of people say. I don't want to deal with it anymore. And it's like,
And that's a great
yeah,
place to recognize that disconnection from the body
yeah,
is what happens when we take all of these experiences and just shove them
yep,
into our body, and not, we just shove them into the
yeah,
back of our mind and we compartmentalize. Medical professionals are fantastic at this. We compartmentalize what we see and experience and what we
yeah,
feel,
yep,
because in that moment, if we felt all of the things that we were feeling, we wouldn't
yeah.
be able to do our job.
I think parents are along that same line as well, because when you have a teenager getting throwing a tantrum because they aren't feeling heard, there are things as a parent that you're just like, dude.
Well, and a big thing that has been coming up a lot, you hear Gen Xers talking about way that we were raised and how we were the feral children
Right,
of the generations, and the talking about trauma. We're all just like, what do you mean talk about trauma? We just experienced it, and then that
right,
was just it. Like, we didn't do
right,
anything with
right.
it.
It was what it was.
Right.
But
And it was what it was until it showed up in our body. And then all of a sudden we're
exactly,
like, oh, I guess we
exactly.
have to actually deal with this
Right.
shit.
Yep, yep. And there are a majority of people who are not ready to deal with it. It's not on their path to have to deal with it in this lifetime. And that's okay too. It's everybody is on their own journey. We're here to provide information. We're here to help plant seeds of growth and expansion. And so, if you're watching, drop down in the comments when like you realize that you needed to start paying attention to all of the stuff that you went through as a kid, whether you're a Gen X, millennial, Gen Z, all of these generations, somebody goes through trauma. It's not just one generation, because as you and I have noticed or know that if us as Gen Xers are not dealing with our own shit, we're going to pass that shit on to our Gen Z kids, or if we had them early enough, our millennial kids. Yeah, same here.
Yep. And that's the thing is every single person, and this is why the root chakra is so incredibly important. Every single person has or is experiencing some type of trauma, right?
Yeah.
So we all just lived through a pandemic.
Right.
We all experienced trauma from it in
Right.
some way or form.
Right. There are a bunch of us that lived through 9/11.
Yep.
And
that was traumatic.
Still have not processed that horrific day, or anything that you saw on the news. If you're watching your local news, you turn on the news and there were 3 shootings last night, within a 25-mile radius of where I live. Like, if you focus on that kind of stuff, your body is going to think that it's really happening to you.
Well, and the thing is one of the things that I recognized and I learned when I started becoming a yoga therapist is that every single person experiences trauma, right?
Yeah.
Being born is traumatic, whether it was a vaginal birth or whether it was a C-section. In both cases, it is a traumatic experience for the baby and the mom.
Right.
And then for the dad, if they had no idea that that's exactly how things would happen.
Yep.
But every single thing that we experience in life can be potentially traumatic. And it's not necessarily, is it a big trauma or a little trauma? The issue is how does your body, how does your nervous system process that or not process it?
Right.
And if we don't process experiences, then they get shoved into our body and they get thrown into somewhere in our body. And where it shows up, the chakras are a way for us to have an understanding of where we shoved it. So we don't need to know the why behind it. We just see, okay, in this particular area, it's here. So what are the things that we do? And as energy workers, it shows up in the practices that we do with our clients. So for me, when I'm working with somebody as a Reiki practitioner, I will feel either an excess of energy or a blockage of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And where in the chakra energetic system am I feeling different energy fluctuations or blockages? Yeah. And then as I'm working with a client, how is that energy shifting?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why every single energy session with a client is completely different, because we're different day to day, minute to minute.
Different. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, everybody's trauma is different.
Coming back to the root chakra, that disconnection from the body, that is a very important aspect for us to pay attention to. So anytime that we're feeling tightness in a body, that's also can be a little bit of disconnection.
Mm-hmm.
do we have poor focus, right? Do we have an inability to focus on things? Do we feel all twirly and chaotic? Do we feel disorganized? Do we have poor boundaries? So the ability to say yes or no without guilt, fear, shame, all of those things,
Right.
they stem from right here. So our ability to say no, and then that's it,
Yeah.
without having that need to explain, well, I need to say no because, and also our ability to accept no from other people is
Right.
rooted in our chakras as well too. um Fear of change, being obsessed with money, whether it's, do I have enough money, do I donate money, um, do I give money away, do I loan money, all of these things are rooted in the root chakra.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And do we have an abundance? Do we think that there's an abundance? Do we think that there is plenty for everybody? Or do we feel like I need to hang on to as much as I can, because I don't want anybody else to take away what I have?
Right. Right. I was listening to a book, and this just kind of just reminded me of it. I'm listening to a book on money, on abundance. And one of the things he says in it is that the money in your bank account is not yours. It never was. And as soon as you pay a bill with it, it no longer is. That money sat in somebody else's account at one point, and it sat in someone else's account before that. And I was just like, yeah, that's, and it's
And that
always there. Like I always have money in my account to pay for things, and it's not mine. I love spending other people's money.
well, and the thing is too, is the relationship that we have with that, when we think, oh, I have to pay this bill, instead of, oh, I'm so grateful that I have money to pay this bill.
Yeah.
Or, how do we look at those things, right? And this is a big issue. Like, we could just spend a whole episode on the root chakra and money,
Right.
because
Yeah.
the way that you're raised to talk about money,
Yeah.
the way that you're raised to have this relationship with money, or does it exist, does it not exist, those things can directly impact your ability to go out into the world and be successful in navigating and managing your money.
Hmm.
And it all comes back to the root chakra.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the foundation. It is the foundation of how we lead our lives. And when that is off balance, off kilter, filled up with goo, blocked, whatever you want to call it, it's going to show up in so many different, it's going to show up in your relationships. It's going to show up in your finances. It's going to show up in your body. It's going to show up in your emotions, in how you perceive other people. There's so many different places that this shows up in.
And one of the things for us to just be mindful is, how does it show up in just how we stand, right?
Right.
So if you see somebody and they start, as you're
Oh, I
talking to
fidget
somebody, if
all
they
the
start
time. I
closing
fidget all
off,
the time. I
yeah,
don't close off, but I fidget. Like I'm standing here and I'm like, hands at my side. I'm like, wow, this feels incredibly awkward. Nobody can see that I'm standing here with my hands by my sides, but then I'm like putting them on the chair and I'm shifting my feet. And it's because like my hips hurt. And it's like, because I know my root chakra is currently out of whack because of the last month of events. But like, yes, you can see.
and just not just that, but I don't know if you were a Big Bang Theory
Yes.
watcher. Okay, so remember when Sheldon was asking Penny to teach him how to be more human,
Yeah.
while he was on the podcast, and he would sit there and he would talk, and he'd say things like, oh, the body representation, welcome to my world, not welcome to my world, welcome to
Right.
my world. But it's true. And it's such a quick, easy way for us to be mindful of certain, it's our body telling us how do we feel in the moment. If we're in a conversation with somebody and as they're talking, we start slowly shifting ourselves in a different way, that's our body's way of telling us we don't feel safe in that moment. It's
Right.
also a way that we're verbalizing with our body language to that person, I don't feel safe with you here.
Right.
I don't feel safe in the way that you're approaching me. I don't feel safe in this moment. And when we're having a conversation, if we see somebody doing that to us,
Mm-hmm.
it's a big flashing light saying,
Yeah.
change your approach because this person is already not feeling safe.
Right. Right. And that's when, if you're not aware of what's going on, if you're not like seeing that, that's when people are like, why are you so defensive? Like what, it's that you in turn will become defensive if you're not realizing that the person you're talking to isn't feeling safe.
And so how do we develop more of an awareness?
Yeah.
Is first starting with ourselves, starting with our body, starting to pay attention. And I think when we do the second half of this particular episode, we're going to go more into the practices. But right now, one of the things that I would suggest is start to pay attention to where are you noticing these things, and then asking yourself, how would it feel if the opposite were happening? How would it feel if I felt safe? How would
Mm-hmm.
it feel if I felt abundant? How would it feel if my space was decluttered?
Yeah.
How would it feel? And just starting these small moments and coming back to, okay, as they were going through the conversation, maybe it's a podcast you want to listen to a couple times. What did you notice as you were listening? Did you have a particular part where as we were talking, you went, oh, that's such bullshit? Because if that happened, this is again kindness, compassion, and
Right.
non-judgment. What were we talking about that sparked that energy, that
Mm-hmm.
defiance
Right.
in you? And
Yeah.
again, we don't have to know the story. You don't have to know the story. It's paying attention to what were we talking about,
Mm-hmm.
and then starting to do a little bit of work, right? Like maybe this is a conversation that you have with your mental health professional where you're like, I was listening to this podcast and Eva and Tenya were talking about something and I just got really angry.
Yeah.
It starts the conversation, it starts the awareness. And
Right.
that is what this entire relationship with the chakras is: developing the relationship, seeing where the energy is up or down, and then what are the things that you do to bring balance into it.
So, what are some things that the listeners can do to help bring that root chakra into balance when they do have that awareness? When they're like, oh, they're listening and they're like, all right, girls, you called me out. Now
the,
what?
the first thing is just getting really clear with yourself, using some affirmations, um, by saying, I am here. I am here. Right. And it seems so basic, or I am, and what was the thing that we were talking about, right?
Mhm.
If we were talking about safety, if we were talking about um,
Having
money,
boundaries
if we
or
were
money.
talking about trust, finding a way to create a phrase that talks about the way in which that is balanced, right? So if it's money, rather than saying, I don't have enough money. How do I say, I am attracting money? I am abundant. I
I am
am
spending
wealthy,
other
right?
people's money.
Yes. And it's just finding the way to say the functional version of
Yeah.
what it was that came up, right? So not that whole toxic positivity where it's like,
No.
oh, well, if you want more of this, just say the positive version of it. It's learning to recognize where we struggle, where
Mm-hmm.
our challenges are,
Right.
and seeing the shadow
Right.
and then bringing light into the shadow, right? So if
Right.
the shadow of the root chakra is fear, it's recognizing fear is a human experience. We know that we all get afraid of certain things, right? I was
Right.
just talking about the float session that I did the other day, and how pulling the lid of the pod all the way down,
Mm-hmm.
I was afraid. It brought fear into my
Right.
body and I could
Right.
feel it. So one of the things that I did was I played with, how do I be in here and see where I'm afraid, and then start to change my relationship with it. So I'd
Right.
pull the pod down but keep the light on. I'd open the pod up and turn the light off. And just playing with that, and how can I relax and let my nervous system feel that I was safe in
Right.
that moment.
Right. It's working. It's working through it. It's not shutting out the fear. It's being able to look at the fear and go, how can I combat you
Right.
by
What do I need
just
to
doing different
do
things?
to
Right.
feel not afraid?
Right.
Or just recognizing, okay, I have a fear of spiders. So what do I need to do? Well, it doesn't mean you need to walk into a room full of spiders. That's not what we're
No.
saying at all.
No. No.
It's learning how to be okay with that, saying, okay,
Yeah.
that's something that exists in my life. And so um
Yeah.
I'm not the one that's going I'm not the one that's going to shoo the spider out of the house. That's your job, and that's
Right.
always going to be your
Right.
job.
Right. That's taking a breath and going, okay, hi, Mr. Spider. And then you walk away and you go, hey, hun, can you take that spider outside?
Yep.
It's not, you don't have to smash the spider. You don't have to do anything like that. It's not this, you are so much bigger than the spider, right? We really are so much bigger than our fears. Our fears, our emotions they may feel big. And oftentimes they do feel big. But when you can turn them around in front of you, I do this with clients when they're having a hard time recognizing or coming down from anxiety, right? They have this, they're filled with this worry of what will happen. And I ask them to take this fear, to take this anxiety, and literally pretend they're taking it out of their chest and putting it out in front of them and spinning it around so that they're facing it, right? They've got this anxiety has a face. Well, what color is this anxiety? Is it blue? Is it red? Is it yellow? What color is it? They pick a color. Okay, what shape is it? Is it a triangle? Is it square? Is it round? What kind of shape is it? Okay, does it have arms and legs? Does it have eyes, nose, mouth? Like what does this look like? And oftentimes it'll be like, oh, it's a blue circle with one big eye, one little eye. It might have a nose and it's got a squiggly smile. It's like, okay, great. But does it look scary? And if it does look scary to them, it's like, okay, can you tell it why you're so scared? Have a dialogue with your emotions and figure out why they are there. Pretend you're the emotion and reflect that back as to like, why are you here? And oftentimes it'll come down to not feeling safe, feeling abandoned, feeling un- that you can't trust what you're feeling. So mistrust, but it's usually because you feel like you can't trust what you're feeling. But that all comes from that foundation of that root chakra and
Yep.
how balanced and cohesive it's running for you.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is when our survival is threatened, we feel afraid. And our survival is threatened in a lot of different ways. So it's just starting to recognize that, and then doing what we need to assure ourselves, to provide that safety for ourselves. And there's a lot of different ways that we can do that. So when we come back for the next episode, we're going to talk more practices and how do we do things in our everyday life to bring the sense of safety into our body. And first and foremost, just having awareness, but even more important, having kindness and compassion and patience for ourselves. When we learn that this is a lifelong journey, because there's always things that are happening in our life that make us question our safety.
Yeah.
And it's just creating that space to see it and to know that we have tools and resources that we can self-regulate.
Yeah. And that's our goal, is we want to work ourselves out of it. We want to work ourselves out of a business.
Yes, exactly.
We don't we want people to find their own healing power, whether it's energy work, mindset work, physical work, doing all of it. We want you to find the empowerment within yourself that we know you already have. We're just going to help you unbury it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I tell all my clients, I'm like, my job here is to not to work myself out of a job so that you don't need me on a regular basis.
Right. Right. And if you keep coming back because you enjoy our company, we're okay with that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
We want you to be able to do all of this kind of stuff for yourselves. So
yes. All right. Awesome. Do you have any questions about this? I know this is a lot that we've been talking about. So
it is. And ironically, it's like it's like I probably discounted how much I actually knew.
There we go. Awesome.
But drop down in the comments what you got from this episode. Did you learn something new, or is there something that we didn't touch on that you would like to tell everybody who is down in the comments? So drop your stuff by down below. Follow us on both of our social medias. Those are all down into the show notes. Subscribe, share this podcast with anybody you think would gain some value from it.
Absolutely. We'd love to have more conversations with our listeners.
Absolutely. Have a great day. Bye-bye.